A first-time collaboration between two Native Indigenous organizations has resulted in a cultural examination of best practices through the lens and worldview of Indigenous people themselves. As concern for healthcare grows across the world, so does the concern in Native and ethnic minority communities, especially for ways to reach and help those in our communities who are struggling with drug or alcohol challenges, who suffer from emotional imbalances, and who may be numb to self-defeating behaviors. This Native and Pacific Island joint venture resulted in the selection of 18 best practices that represented services ranging from substance abuse prevention to workforce development. All were services or approaches that Native communities felt worked for their population. Most important, our information gathering about the best practices focused not just on the best practice itself, but on understanding how local communities viewed the role of evidence building. That is, what was the local Indigenous community's perspective and worldview on knowing how and why a particular service works, and what sequential steps did they take to develop ways to measure whether their services were meeting the needs of the community. In our information gathering, we listened to their stories and learned how they built services starting with the Native worldview to strengthen the cultural self, how they worked with non-tribal governments to develop policies that were inclusive of Native services, how they grew their own evaluation teams, building on Native instinct for strategic thinking, and how some partnered with science to develop meaningful evaluation programs despite challenges and disconnects between the science and biomedicine worldview and the Indigenous worldview. For more details on the best practices and their evidence-building approaches, we hope you read the full report and find the information useful for your community.